Hello and welcome to episode 102 of Nintendo Therapy, a show about the latest Nintendo news and rumors, as well as a celebration of all of the things Nintendo. My name is Kevin, and joining me this week for some Nintendo Therapy and a year in review is Harrison. How are you doing this year, Harrison?
Hey, I'm doing good. Had a great Christmas season. Had a okay Christmas, and I think um, maturing and growing up is realizing that I never really liked Christmas that much, but I love the Christmas season. Um, so got that, and we already finished Squid Game season 2 because I live in Thailand and it came out at 3 p.m. my time and not 3 a.m. for like most people in America. So
It takes me forever to get to things anyway. I'll probably be watching that in like March. I will see it eventually, but I'm never on top of those things.
I'm so cooked. Like this is like the one show like that I've watched on Netflix, and we watched season 1 in like one day, and then we watched season 2 in one day, and I think I'm just giving up on TV altogether. Like whether it's streaming, whether because like after sports, after like watching sports, playing playing video games, podcasts, that's really like it
Mhm.
for like my
Yeah.
my viewing. Um, like I should watch more movies. I don't do that. But anyways, enough about
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
uh,
So, I mean, we're going to get more of you though,
yeah.
because what we're doing today is I figured a good way to end the year here is to kind of reflect on how 2024 has been for us each specifically. And most Nintendo channels and podcasts and things like that are going to tell you how 2024 was for Nintendo specifically. But I was thinking we could just talk about the games that we finished. So, not like, hey, what did Nintendo release this year, but what did you play this year? I guess we could just take turns going over each list, and feel free to chime in at any point. But I'm just going to go down my list here. These are the games that I finished in 2024. Started way more, but I didn't keep a list of those. So I started my 12. I rolled into 2024 playing Tears of the Kingdom. So you'll see on the list where that finished, but it really dominated a lot of my playing at the almost first whole half of the year. So I wasn't. I was very focused on that. But the first game that I finished in 2024 was Mario Land for Game Boy, which was um, not yet on the Switch Online service. Then Super Mario Land 2, then Wario Land, Super Mario Land 3, then Wario Land on Virtual Boy. I like going through series in order a lot. Like I play Super Mario Land 2 like once a year. And I just followed it up with all of the connected games. I've never played the Wario Land Game Boy game that came next in the timeline there, so I should probably jump on that. I think it's called Wario Land 2. I don't know. Um then so that took me up to April. Then April 7th I finished Turok 2 Seeds of Evil, which was like a lifetime goal of mine. Well, lifetime of the game anyway. Um and Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom I finally finished in May. So it came out May 12th, 2023. I have in my notes here, and it took me until May of 2024, May 27th. Spent over a full year trying to do everything there is to do in that game, and I didn't even do it. Like I still have armor that needs to be leveled up. It is a huge, massive, massive game, but I had to move on at some point, you know? At some point you have to be like, okay, I've done all my Zelda. It's time to go fight Ganon, which I don't normally do. I played Tears of the Kingdom kind of different than I play everything else because normally I'll go beat the end boss and then do all the extra stuff. But for some reason with Tears of the Kingdom, I wanted to do it all before I tried the end boss. I don't know. And the next game I finished, summer games. Games I played in summer were Metroid Dread, Animal Crossing New Horizons, Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door, and the first Luigi's Mansion game. So my summer games were basically about knocking things off that list of games I wanted to finish. I put Metroid Dread and Animal Crossing off for like 3 years, so it was finally time to do those. And Paper Mario and Luigi's Mansion, those were games I missed on the GameCube. So I was glad to finally check those boxes off. Now, when people talk about those games, I know what they're talking about. So that was especially Luigi's Mansion. I'd been waiting forever to play that game, and I kept thinking they were gonna do something with it, and I just finally said, like, you know what? I have to just play the GameCube version because I know they put it on the 3DS, um, but I don't know. It just that they need to do another console version of it. Find a way to do it. I know I've also talked about how short the game is, but they need to figure out a way, like, just put it out untouched, just upload it and just charge less money because it's short, make it a $20 game, make it a $30 game. um then August into September, I got into a Mega Man mood. I beat Mega Man 2, Mega Man 3, and Mega Man 4 because I'm trying to clear out my backlog, and I've beat those games before, but I haven't finished the Mega Man Classics collection that's on my Switch, so I was playing them on there, and yeah, they're just as good as ever. Mega Man 4, highly underrated. Everybody wants to talk about Mega Man 2. If you're not very familiar with the Mega Man series, Mega Man 4 is also a great place to start. It's a huge leap forward in the series as far as like graphics and storytelling, so I don't know why people don't talk about that more often. Then I finished Bomberman on Game Boy in September, which I've always had a weird interest in this game. Like ever since the days of Nintendo Power, I think it was advertised a lot, but I never played it much. And then this year, I just decided, it's got a really interesting cover. It's the one where he's like Indiana Jones on the cover, even though it's not really like that in the game. There should be a Bomberman like collection. Um, Maybe there isn't one because like all the Bomberman games are so similar. I don't know, but there should be one. And then on your recommendation, Harrison, the next game I finished was Cat Quest. So thank you for that recommendation. I will definitely be tackling Cat Quest 2 and 3 in 2025. Luigi's Mansion 2 HD was next. We did a whole bonus episode on this one. I liked it a lot more on Switch than I did on the 3DS. So if you're listening to this and you were kind of like iffy on it on the 3DS and you're like, it was okay. I think it is better on the Switch. It's just hard to get around that price tag. Like I could see that deterring people. It should not be a $60 game. But if the price tag doesn't bother you, do it. Then I finished the new Super Mario Brothers in October. Broke out my DS, dusted off that classic on my quest to clear my backlog. That was a game I never finished back in the DS days, so now it's done. Um, Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom came next. So I'm considering a second playthrough of that when I finish Mario and Luigi Brothership because you always absorb a little more on a second playthrough. And Echoes of Wisdom, I definitely fell into the trap of just using the same echoes over and over and over and over again. And now that I've done everything there is to do in the game, I might do a playthrough where I just try to have fun with it, try to just be ridiculous. Metroid Prime Remaster came next. I've finished that on GameCube during the original release, but I think the fact that it wasn't in the voucher program kept me from getting it for Switch for a long time. It's a $40 game, which is why it's not in their voucher program. It would actually, like, you'd lose money buying it through that. But that's how I buy most of my games is I usually buy 2 at a time through that voucher program. Cuz if you're buying the $60 games, you save money. Then I finished Pokemon Blue and Pokemon Yellow in November and December. I'm about to start Gold. Haven't started it yet. Going through the Pokemon series in order. And the last game that I finished was a few weeks ago, Mega Man 5. There's one more Mega Man game in that collection, which I am on the final dungeon, the Dr. Wily's Castle portion. Right now, I will probably finish that before the end of the year. So, Mega Man 6 most likely added to this list before the year ends.
Cool.
And yeah, I've been trying to clear my backlog. I've said that on this podcast a lot. For been working on it for like 5 years now, and I think 2025 or 2026 could be the year. I'm getting really close. Final results: PlayStation 5, one game; Virtual Boy, one game; Wario Land. Um, Nintendo 64, one game; DS, one game; GameCube, two games; the original Nintendo, four games; Nintendo Switch, five games; and Game Boy was the system I played the most with six games I finished. And
Cool.
that was my 2024 games that I finished. Played a lot more, like I said. How about you? How was your year?
I'll do the ones that I finished.
Okay.
Because I went through because I wrote down like every game that I had played and made different categories. So ones that I had finished in 2024, with Switch, I did Luigi's Mansion 3, which was my second playthrough. Did a review on that. Pokemon Quest, which is pretty much a mobile game that I played on Switch. Uh, Not a game that anyone ever talks about, but I'm a member of their Discord. Pokemon Quest I finished. Echoes of Wisdom I finished pretty much. Yeah, not 100%, but I finished. Um, Zelda NES I did in January because I wanted to do a lot of Zelda games this year, which I kind of did, but not really. I kind of did. Hollow Knight, I think it's my second playthrough. Might be my third. Um, I really don't know. Um, a short hike. Short hike is very short. It's like maybe an hour, maybe 30 minutes, maybe 2 hours if you want to do a lot. Um,
I'm so curious about that game.
Play it. It's awesome.
Okay.
Yeah, play it. Why not? I mean, it's super short and like I recommend it to anyone who likes, like Animal Crossing or Zelda, There you go.
Okay.
Um, yeah, it's awesome. Usually I'll play it if I'm like on a plane or like I have like 2 hours. I'm like, I don't know what to play, and I can't like connect to the internet or something. And
Hmm.
then Steam World Dig 2, second playthrough. Those are the Switch games that I finished this year. Moving down to other games that I finished, um, which is mostly Steam. Games finished. I didn't finish Balatro because there's no ending, but I played over 100 hours in it.
Yeah, I thought about there like a lot of puzzle games, and it's like obviously I played Tetris at some point, but like there's games like that, yeah, that I didn't put on the list that have no ending.
Uh, Cloudpunk, which is one of my favorite indie games of all time. Um, did my third playthrough of that, and I'm about to record a playthrough of it because I want to record the game and the DLC for like a new YouTube channel before the new game comes out. Anyways, um, Nova Lands, another indie I played this year. Logistics, kind of like the game Forager, if you ever played Forager. It's the only game this year that I technically 100%ed. Like every achievement, like you did every single thing you could do in that game. Uh, s- Sticky Business, I technically finished. Um, didn't really enjoy too much, but it's a perfect Switch port. I played it on Steam. And then a game called Planet Crafter, which is one of my favorite indies of the year. Played over 100 hours of that game, finished it. Still playing it today, actually. Played it a little bit yesterday because they keep updating it. Those are pretty much games that I had finished, and then the other one that I finished was Zelda Wind Waker. Um, so we'll put that in just a different category. I had that's three Zelda games I finished this year. Okay, if I do three a year, I'll catch up eventually. And of course we played quite a bit of Zelda this year, but I didn't
Mhm.
finish like any of like the like Oracle games yet or anything like that. Um, and then I just wrote down a lot of games that I played a lot, but I didn't finish. Like, and I'll bring this up because I want to talk about Switch life cycle right after this. For example, on
Okay.
Switch, I have NBA 2K24. Okay, I played 2K a little bit. Still play a little bit. Probably about 50 hours this year, I estimate. Um, MLB The Show 24, I didn't like too much, but I played over 100 hours. Have it on Switch, Minecraft on Switch, Stardew Valley 1.6 on Switch or consoles. Also have Balatro on Switch. Also have Vampire Survivors on Switch. Um, and then over Christmas, I bought the Borderlands collection, the Diablo collection, Hot Wheels Unleashed, Super Mega Baseball, Yakuza Kiwami. There's no doubt that my backlog has gotten bigger in 2024, and a big majority, well, I should say a slight majority of my playing time came from games that were released in 2024.
Mhm.
So like starting this year, I didn't even have a lot of these games planned. I had a great year of gaming. Um, I don't have I have a game of the year, but it's not the best one I've ever had. How about we start there?
Yeah, well, I think my pick for the game I enjoyed most this year didn't come out this year, but like the one that I definitely it was one of the ones I finally got around to was Animal Crossing New Horizons. Like for the longest time, I missed it in 2020 and then I just felt like I missed the hype train. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to get the next Animal Crossing. I'll skip this one. And I kept waiting and waiting and waiting and I was like, you know what? I should just get it. And I feel like I've played at least an hour a day almost every day since I got it. So that's one that is probably the favorite that I experienced this year. As for games released, um, I don't know. I didn't really. I played Echoes of Wisdom. Let me look through my list and see what I played that released this year. Uh, there's Echoes of Wisdom, Paper Mario Thousand Year Door, if that counts. Are we counting remakes?
Sure, sure, it's our
Um,
list.
yeah,
But
those are the only
I
two. Those are the only two on my list that I finished that came out this year. So of the two, I'm not done with Brothership yet, but um, even still, I'm over halfway into Brothership. So I think I can safely say my game of the year pick. I'm gonna go with. I think I did like Thousand Year Door more than I liked Echoes of Wisdom, which is not something I would have expected if you asked me before I played either game.
I'm going with I mean, I'm going with Balatro, and I say it's not a good, it's not the best pick because it is a roguelike. There's no story that I really know of, which is fine. I think
Hmm.
Balatro is one. It's a game that I had followed prior to it being released, and then when it got released, I couldn't believe. I mean, no one, the developer couldn't believe how popular it was. So,
Yeah, I was reading something where he was talking about how he basically made a game he just wanted to play with his friends,
yeah,
and it just exploded.
yeah, over 2 million copies.
Yep.
And all the way to making a mobile port, which has been like top of the charts since it released. It came at a time. It came out in January, and it came at a time where like I was just looking for just a fun game to play, and just something that was going to
Mhm.
get me into just get me into the action. Like I don't know what I was playing before that. I don't know if I was like playing like Pokemon or something that had a lot of words in it. I don't know, but when that game came around, I knew right away that this could be like the indie of the year, possibly like the token indie that gets nominated for game of the year, which it did. Uh, you know, I, I think that like we all need to realize that like not every year I'm gonna get a top 10 game of all time, and that was pretty much this year. But I would say that I've had an outstanding year of gaming, just as far as the amount of fun that I've had. My
Yeah.
list is messy. I have a very, very, very messy list. Like if I were to get into like the other games I just played this year, it's quite a lot. Um,
I agree because I loved diving back into Pokemon, which I did in the second half of the year there, and I'm still following through. Like I said, I'm about to start Gold, so I liked that there. I messaged you this week that with my Christmas money, I think I'm going to buy Arceus and dive into that game as well. So that'll be on my 2025 list. Um, and like I enjoyed replaying the Mega Man games because they're games I've played a million times. So I like that. Other standouts besides Animal Crossing was Metroid Dread. Was I got really into Metroid this year. Um, I must have finished those other Metroid games in 2023 because I know I've been playing a lot of Metroid lately and I finished them and none of them are on this list. So I must have finished those others last year. But what else did I play that I just talked about? Oh, Tears of the Kingdom, even though it didn't come out this year. I told you I spent a full year playing that game. So yeah, a lot of Cat Quest, a whole new series, a whole new franchise that I'm into now, and I'm gonna play the second one probably as soon as I finish Brothership. It's on the chopping block. So definitely happy that you introduced me to that, and those are great games because they're so like casual. It's a term that gets thrown around a lot, but it's true. Like you don't have to pay attention to much to play Cat Quest. At least I've only played the first one, but I'm assuming the gameplay style continues that way.
yeah,
So yeah, great year for games. Metroid Prime remaster, thrown that in there.
yeah. I've been thinking recently about how like I think it's because I told you a few weeks ago I had to go and get a new hard drive. And it's
Hmm.
the first time that I've had to fix something on my computer for 3 years, and it's great. I mean I think it's saying a lot. It's my work computer. I've made it's a necessity. That's what I'm trying to say. Anyways, um, I got it around the same time I got my Switch OLED, and I'm just thinking about like how besides my Joy Cons being all messy and everything, that like I think the hardware works just as good as when I got it, even though, I have all these criticisms about how it should be better, I think it's as fresh and it's running as well as when I first got it, and I wouldn't be surprised, like, if I held on to it, if that just remained the same just forever if I took care of
Hmm.
it. And, as I mentioned, like, over Christmas, like, I got the Diablo collection, like, that's, like, hundreds of hours of gaming if I were to go through all those games. I mean, I bought it just to play Diablo 3. Same thing with,
There's
like,
so many collections just like that on
yeah.
Switch.
Yeah, same thing with, like, Borderlands collection, like, I wanted to play
Yep.
Borderlands 2, but it was cheaper for me to get Borderlands prequel and Borderlands the original as the collection. So now with that, I have another few hundred hours of gaming if I wanted
Mhm.
to play through all of them. So I just think, like, I've extended the Switch life cycle, like, so much, that I'm just really happy with it. I've talked over and over about how I believe the Switch is the most important home console we've ever had. Uh, but I just can't believe that we're here, and like, everything, like, e- everything is as good as it has been, and we had a better year than I had ever anticipated. Like, getting a new Zelda this
Yeah, and I
year.
completely at this point believe the the rumors of how, and we're never gonna know, so it's almost pointless for me to bring this up, but I do believe we were supposed to get a Switch Pro either last year or the year before. And the reason I thought about it this week, I was like, it seems like every game that Nintendo has released in the last like year or two, the only criticism, well, I won't say only, but a common criticism of the games is the frame rate and certain performance issues that I'm like, I wonder if they were banking on having the Switch Pro for these releases. So we'll never know, but just wanted to throw that onto the conspiracy theory fire. Would have added maybe a little bit more longevity. I don't know. But we got what we got, and the games are still working great. Like I've never been one to complain about frame rate. I praise Thousand Year Door a lot on here. Didn't have any issues with that frame rate. Brothership I'm playing right now, Mario and Luigi Brothership. People are complaining about that frame rate. I don't care. Um, so yeah, I agree. The most important console. I agree with everything what you just said.
So I think, looking ahead to 2024, I think I'm going to be more realistic. Just like
2025.
2025.
Yeah, you said
Um,
looking ahead.
yeah, looking ahead to 2025, I think I'm gonna be more realistic. Not try to set any, like, huge goals, like play every Zelda game, and
Hmm.
like things like that. Just try to have fun. Expect the unexpected, because there's gonna be tons of games that are released next year that haven't been announced yet. And I think, off the top of my head, I need to finish Tears of the Kingdom, because I know I want to do a Breath of the Wild playthrough in 2025. It's time.
Well,
It's been two
here's
years.
on that subject. Here, while I'm tossing out stuff like my thoughts on the Switch Pro that randomly popped into my head this week, here's a thought I had about Breath of the Wild this week, and I just want to run it by you if you're looking for a new playthrough. I'm also fully convinced at this point, and it might not be in the first year, but at some point in the Switch 2 life cycle, I am fully convinced we're going to get a re-release of either Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom or both touched up versions. And the reason I was thinking about that is it takes them 8 years now to make a 3D Zelda. The last two have anyway. And it might even take longer this time because they're not reusing the map. So in those 8 years, they're going to want to get as much money as they can out of those two games. And I think it's inevitable that they do some sort of re-release in order to squeeze a little bit more out. So, yeah, I think that thought this week convinced me. I'm like, oh yeah, we're definitely getting. It might not be called Breath of the Wild HD, but we'll get a Switch 2 version re-released with like the DLC included and up-resed video.
Yeah, I mean, at Gamescom, like that was like the initial first ever like sight
Leak. Yeah.
of a Switch 2 or a Switch successor was an upscaled Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
Um,
And I know it's all still rumor, but like that's why this week thinking that I'm like, you know what? Now I'm fully in on that rumor. I'm gonna if I had to pass fail it, I'll give that one a pass.
yeah,
That's
I
gonna
think I
happen.
think it'll come later. I don't know, but that is my prediction. Uh,
Okay,
Swi
here's my prediction to take it a little bit further. Whenever the next 3D Zelda is getting towards the ready to be released phase, like a year or two out, they'll release that about 2 years or a year before that to like kind of remind people of Zelda, and then you put the new game out. You know what I'm saying? I think they did that with I think Skyward Sword HD came out like 2 years before Tears of the Kingdom. So yeah.
I'm gonna like I don't know. This feels like like we're not betting money on it. This is just podcasting, but like uh after Echoes of Wisdom made me feel like I don't know anything. Like it just made me feel like just enjoy the ride, speculate, and then
Yeah,
when
Mario RPG remake made me feel that way because
yeah.
I
Oh yeah.
never thought I'd see that.
Oh yeah. One thing last year that was my biggest like news item. I think of last year and like and favorite game that released last year also. Uh, I I I don't know. I mean, a thought experiment. If if a 3D Zelda game released next year, are you like really surprised? Or are you like kind of surprised? Are you like okay, like it happened?
I think I would be surprised. I would be like, "Oh, they have more teams on Zelda than I thought they did." Either that or it would say to me, I don't know. I'd think that or I'd start to think or maybe Tears of the Kingdom didn't take as many people as much fo- clearly those two games would have been worked on the same time. All
Yep.
three games actually. Throw Echoes of Wisdom in there.
Yep.
If they were releasing next year. So it would tell me they're putting a lot more resources into Zelda than we think they are. Um, but yeah, I would be surprised, but not like to the point of disbelief.
I
I would
mean,
just be like, oh, that's how they're doing it.
I was surprised they were working on two games at a time, which they
Yeah.
clearly were,
Well,
and
they used to do that all the time for
yeah,
Zelda. They used to have the handheld and the console one, and like the Oracle games came out right around the same time as Majora's Mask, and the DS games came out around the same time as the GameCube games. And the Wii game. So
I, I
yeah,
mean, I mean, if you're saying that like a 3D Zelda game takes 8 years to develop, or it has taken 8 years the past couple of times, who knows? Like, I don't like. We still don't know how many years they spent on Echoes of Wisdom, and then how many years they had it planned.
hmm
So yeah, I I don't know. I if I had to predict, I think we're getting so like if so Tears of the Kingdom came out 2023. Breath of the Wild came out 2016 for Wii U.
yeah.
For Wii U,
Well,
okay.
for both,
So 2030 it
I
would
think they
be
launched on the same day. Yeah,
yeah. So 2030 would be like that same timeline. Yeah, I think it's gonna be way. I think it's gonna be way quicker than that. 'Cause
yeah.
a lot has
We'll have to
changed.
wait and see. But I mean, at least 5 years. I'm thinking.
It,
But another one of my my theories I'd like to say while we're talking about Echoes of Wisdom and you talk about how long they've been developing that, um, I still maintain the theory that the reason there were rumors about being able to play as Zelda in Tears of the Kingdom is that I think internally somewhere some wires got crossed and people heard that they were developing a game where you play as Zelda, and that was Echoes of Wisdom during the time they were also developing Tears of the Kingdom. I think that's why we got those rumors.
yeah, that's probably part of it. Maybe part of it. I don't know. I don't have much of an opinion on that one. Uh, because the initial trailers that we saw could have brought it up. Yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right to an extent. Uh, s- I, I- basically I need to finish Tears of the Kingdom. It's been 2 years since I've done a Breath of the Wild playthrough. I told myself that I needed to take time away from that game. I did. So now I need to
Yeah.
finish Tears of the Kingdom officially, so I can go back and just enjoy Hyrule again.
I'll say the ending is fantastic. I'm not going to spoil anything, but the like I think they did a better job ending that game than they did Breath of the Wild. Everything was really like I was like, "Oh my god, this is a great experience." So, I don't want to hype it up too much cuz then you might be disappointed, but it's a good ending.
No, it's fine. I mean, Breath of the Wild is like a top 5 game for me, and I could care less about that ending. I could really care less about that ending
Yeah.
because
Well, I'm just
because
letting you know,
like
like, they really do something special. Like, they really
yeah,
do put you through an experience at the end there where it's not just, "Okay, now go fight a boss." It's like there is, like, a lead up and a thing you have to do, and it's pretty cool.
yeah. I wish we had a Zelda. I wish we had a true Zelda sandbox game. And I know I brought this up before about like how I wish we could have like a new game plus for Breath of the Wild where they would just like shoot you over into a random spot of the map,
Mhm.
and then you just have to figure it out. You just have to figure it out from there. Like, and if you're in too rough of an area, you might have to figure it out, or you might have to reset, or whatever it is. But I really wish, I really wish we had like a Zelda Minecraft game where
Yeah.
where things were just like procedurally generated, and you were in Hyrule, I guess, but like every time you loaded into a map, it was a slightly different experience. And I guess I've been thinking about it because I have been playing so much Minecraft lately, and I've realized like depending on what map or what server or what seed I'm playing on, the experience can change completely, almost to like where
Mhm.
I feel like I'm playing a whole different game. I
Well,
wish we had.
you know what that would be a cool way to address is I've seen a few Nintendo channels and a few like video essays addressing like people, talking about what they want in the next Zelda game and saying things like, "Oh, we've done Hyrule enough. Look at all these other Zelda games where you gave us Termina and you gave us Kolina Island, and like every time we leave Hyrule, it's cool too. And we've had a lot of Hyrule lately, so maybe leave Hyrule. But a procedurally generated Hyrule would feel like a different place because a main sticking point of these videos is usually like, I'm sick of seeing Death Mountain. I'm sick of seeing Hyrule, Lake Hyrule. I'm sick of seeing all these like same places over and over. And if it was procedurally generated, you wouldn't necessarily get a like the volcano. You wouldn't necessarily get the same landmarks. So that would be really cool. And if they if they're how Nintendo gets about not letting things change, if that's too crazy for them, they could make it a Zelda game where you're in an area that's not Hyrule, which they've done before. Majora's Mask and Link's Awakening and I think Spirit Tracks takes place on a different area, but they've done it before. Is my point. So just make it, Link gets sucked into a wormhole, and wherever you go, it's procedurally generated. I would
He
love that.
he's just in another dimension, and yeah,
Yeah.
because like I think when it comes to like crafting, Zelda already has it. I mean, if you wanted to incorporate building, I really don't think that's like the craziest idea in like a Zelda game. I mean, we're seeing other innovations come through in Zelda games, whether it was Echoes
They
of
could have gone
Wisdom.
further with the crafting too, and a lot of other things. Like I didn't get my house set up in Tears of the Kingdom until it was way too late to even enjoy it.
Yeah,
Like like things like that. They gotta get on the ball a little
yeah.
earlier.
Yeah. Or like if you actually had to rebuild Terrytown, like if you actually had to
Hmm. Yeah.
had to rebuild it. And, and yeah, and I was thinking too about how um my Breath of the Wild issue is that um I find the first part of the game to be the most satisfying. Like the first part when you have nothing and you just have to scrounge and collect everything, collect every
Yeah.
arrow, fight everybody so you can get the weapons because you just need it. Opposed to later on in the game where you're like it's an apple, whatever,
Hmm.
here
And
here's
somewhere on their
some
team,
extra
they
loot.
know that people like that too, because they have all those shrines where they put you back in that situation. So they know people enjoy that.
Right, right. Like they kind of took on that almost like that roguelike element in the DLC where you're stripped of everything, or
Hmm.
like Eventide Island, which I've mentioned. That's always the last shrine that I do because it's my favorite. I love Eventide Island um,
Hmm.
because they strip you everything, and then you have to like do everything from from the beginning. So my issue was always like, oh yeah, I'm gonna play I'm gonna play like 2 hours of Breath of the Wild. I'll just play like the first four shrines until I get the paraglider. Okay, I got the paraglider. Let's take a trip. Let's go towards Kakariko Village, and then like 10 hours later, it's like you're playing this game. Like you're not like you're actually in this game now.
Hmm.
Uh, so I like to seize
Yeah,
that.
it's one of those things where like it's just lightning in a bottle. If people knew how to create that, every game would be that addictive. But it's just that's one of those games that happens to be that addictive. It did everything right. There's some things, people are like, I wish this was a little different, but it did it well enough where you just never want to put that game down once you start.
Especially Nintendo, where I've been super critical about how they educate others on their games because like they figure out a way to like get you in the game and make it and like they give you a tutorial, but it does not feel like a tutorial at all. You just
Yeah.
learn like all of the abilities as you go through the first four shrines. They're stopping to tell you about it, but it feels like so naturally in the game that you know what happened with
Hmm.
Pokemon, where it's like we're gonna teach you how to catch Pokemon.
Yeah.
Like
That
I got it.
Pokemon desperately needs a I've played a Pokemon game before setting.
Yeah,
Or just tell me what's new setting, just tell me the changes you made. I'm good with all the basics. Um, I feel like they used to have that more in games and they don't anymore. Or I've always talked about, I also miss when the tutorial was on the main menu and you would, there was start, continue, and tutorial. And the tutorial would be like a VR mission that taught you everything. And if you skip that and you just started the game, it just assumed that you knew all the controls already and everything and threw you in a situation. So I think we could do with that a little more often as well.
yeah, yeah. I think so. How about we do 3 minutes of Switch rumors, and then we do spotlight because I know we are running out of
Okay.
time.
Yeah, sure. I know I saw the same things you posted about the leaked images where the person was using AI generated backgrounds allegedly to conceal his identity, but people are saying now this is fake. But yeah, talk about it.
Oh, so on Christmas, these images got leaked, and the first image is of the system. Second image is of the dock. This is all apparent, and through X, I didn't do it myself, but through X, apparently, 99% of the image is came back as AI generated. And if you're listening and you haven't seen it, you can look it up. There's like, for example, if you look at the system and you zoom in, I'm pretty sure the Nintendo logo is upside down and it's
It
off
is.
center. The plus button looks like it could have been photoshopped.
They
It
also have it in where the controller would go, where I don't believe they would put a logo. Like it wouldn't show.
right, right. It's like on the inside where the Joy-Con would be. And you can help me with this one. The man is wearing his watch over his sweater. Do people do that?
I'm sure they do,
Do-
but
he's in a busy warehouse. He can't always be pulling up his sleeves to see what time it is. He has to have it right there all the time. So I I think this is one of the things that's if to me it looks fake, I'm gonna say it's fake. I think it looks fake for a few different reasons, and it's something that it's like okay, it goes along with the rumors, so it could be true. Like they basically took all the rumors and made an image out of it. The doc, I'm
the
going to
doc I can't make heads or tails of.
the doc looks like it's a real image, but it could be 3D printed. That's all.
But
Like,
I just don't see how the system goes in it. Are we looking at the back? Like I
yeah,
really don't understand this image. Okay, so that's supposed to be the back and the switch would go on the other
yeah,
side.
and
Okay.
and the like the fake like the concept art that I keep seeing of these, like the concept art is that the dock is going to be a lot smaller and it's supposed to be rounded. So again, it goes along with the rumor, but this could very well just be it could be AI, but it could just be a 3D print. But if I want to go the
Mhm.
other end, it could be a mock-up, which is what we've seen of the Switch 2 so far. Of like, here is the size of the Switch 2, but it's not going to look like this, most likely. So, um, I mean, Nintendo, Christmas is over. Make your announcement. I'll also bring up too that on Weibo, the Chinese website, the Chinese forum that correctly predicted the June Nintendo Direct, which you can probably assume, you can probably predict anyways. They are saying that the Switch 2 is going to be announced on January 8th. Something to do with the Fibonacci sequence. I have no idea. I
Okay.
guess it's like 1, 3, 7, 11, something like that. But anyways, it has something to do with the Fibonacci sequence. Um, I guess my only other question would be, would Nintendo give us a like a pre-announcement date like they put out they tell us on January 8th there's going to be a huge announcement, or do they just announce a Switch 2 just one day randomly? I don't know.
I think they'll go in a middle ground. I don't think they're gonna pre-announce that they're making an announcement, but I think they will just drop like some sort of confirmed news on a date, like switch to July 2025 or something, and maybe an image of it, and then so the I think they might just drop without announcing it, like a reveal of the system and a release date, and then a few weeks later give us an actual direct or whatever you want to call it, where they talk us through the specs and what the system can do and all the things that make it not a Switch. Um, but I think they will do something in two steps. I don't think they're going to pre-announce their announcement though.
Switch 2, not just a controller.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's gonna be a presentation where they put it at the end, or if it's gonna be a whole presentation of the system itself, or
I don't think it'll be at the end of anything. I think it'll be its own thing, whatever it is.
yeah. I wouldn't be surprised too if Nintendo is just Nintendo and then I just like wake up and I turn on Twitter and I'm like, oh, there it is.
Mhm.
Like like, you know,
Well, this is also like one of the least exciting systems to follow these rumors and leaks for, because it is so much just a more advanced Switch. Like it's like, okay, we're getting another home button, and everything else is pretty much the same. Oh, the Joy Cons are magnetic now, but visually, when you're looking at a leaked image or you're listening to rumors, it's basically the same thing. So it's so unsatisfying from a speculative standpoint that like all I'm waiting for is the reveal where they actually talk to us about when it's coming out and what the new features are.
yeah, with how quickly news cycles go and how long we've been waiting for a system, yeah, it might be a little more anticlimactic for how much it's going to change, but
Mhm.
man, like I really think it's going to be like internet breaking when it does finally get announced. Like I think Switch
'Cause like what
2.
the system looks like used to be the coolest thing to think about, and the fact that this looks almost identical kind of robs you of that.
Yeah, yeah, but you know, hopefully it all works out. It works. It works with PlayStation. You know,
Yeah.
it works with Apple. Um, I'm not
Well, even the
guaranteeing that
PlayStation systems look different though.
they do. Not that much though. Like
Yeah.
if you were to show my mom a PS3 and a PS4, it's like I bet it's like okay, like one's bigger, right?
Yeah.
One is significantly bigger, but it's the same. Like it's not N64 and GameCube. It's not GameCube and Wii.
Yeah.
So hopefully it all works out for them. Although I've brought up the fact that you know no matter what, even if they sell 100 million, there's going to be criticisms that Nintendo failed because they didn't sell as much as the previous system.
Yeah, it won't bother them though. They'll
No,
know they succeeded,
no.
and the real question is how long is this system going to last? How long until the Switch 2 successor now? We're already onto that clock. Like, are we going to have this one for 8 years? Because like you said before, that's going to take us into the 2030s. That's going to be crazy.
Well, my prediction is that generations of consoles go away with this new system. You know, Xbox might be done. PlayStation is released like in the middle of a generation with Nintendo. I wouldn't be surprised if like what if we just instead of getting new generations, we just get like upgrades of systems again, like much like how you would get an iPhone 4, iPhone 5, iPhone 6.
Mhm. Yeah.
Maybe the next system isn't like a whole new generation, but maybe it's more of like just it keeps getting upgraded. I I I,
I
I
could
I
see
really
it.
don't know, but I think the console wars or whatever we're gonna call it is gonna look a lot different. And part of that too is like
But Harrison, war never changes.
yeah.
Don't you play video games?
Yeah, yeah, it's very true. I mean, like like Atari this year bought Intellivision, isn't that right? Which is crazy, like because I remember like reading about it and just thinking like, man, that was like the Nintendo at some
Yeah,
point.
that's like Nintendo buying Sega.
Yeah, like that would be like Nintendo buying Sega and like nobody caring about it, you know? Uh,
Yeah.
so so yeah, we're also getting like a cross between like PC and console gaming finally. Like where we might have like a legit standalone PC home console is what I'm trying to say.
Mhm.
So yeah, yeah, it's all changing and adapting in good ways. I think. Let's do a spotlight. It's like we're
Yeah,
burying it.
let's talk about this spotlight. So there's two games. Last week we didn't mention it, but these puzzle games are so hard to keep track of, and I did not notice that there are basically two versions of the same game. So we're going to cover both of them. First one, though, we'll talk about is the one we told you we were going to talk about. Nintendo 64's Pokemon Puzzle League came out September 25th, 2000. I don't think this was released in Japan, as far as I could tell. I could not find a Japanese release date. They probably got it on the Wii with the Virtual Console. But anyway, this game is a reskin of Tetris Attack, which itself is a reskin of Panel de Pan, which we will also be ranking this week because it's just like the Mean Bean Machine, Puyo Puyo, Kirby's Avalanche situation all over again. Panel de Pan released October 27th, 95 for Super Nintendo in Japan, and then was reskinned as Tetris Attack in 1996. Um, Tetris Attack is not on Nintendo Switch Online, or we would also be talking about that this week, but it's not there. So it's the same game as Panel de Pon anyway. They just changed the character faces. Um, yeah, Tetris Attack. I don't know. I don't know why that's not on the
Don't know.
system. Like,
Don't know
why
why.
did they give us panel Pon de Pon? Because Tetris Attack is it's the same game with Yoshi, Super Mario World 2 characters,
Right.
which is also weird. Because why not Super Mario World? Why specifically Super Mario World 2? But anyway, yeah, Tetris Attack. It's in English, so they should have put that one on there. But I don't know. Pokemon Puzzle League. I love this game. This was my first time playing it this week for the spotlight, and I could not stop playing it. The night that I started, I stayed up late. Like I just kept playing and playing, which is a rare thing to happen on a spotlight game. Like some of these games, I pick them up for 3 seconds, and I'm like, okay, I'll watch a YouTube video. I'm not going to be able to do this. Um, Yeah, I love it. I love this game. I feel like I like puzzle games more than I realize, and I never think to play them. So I'm gonna try to think to play this one more.
This is probably the only Pokemon game of this generation that I didn't play originally, and it's most likely the fact that I had learned that it's it's just like a reskinned Pokemon game, and there's no like collecting or anything to go along with it. And I was 10 years old and probably just spent my limited money with something else. So I think this is the only game I didn't play of this era. Enjoyed it a lot. I definitely played it when it first came out, but I didn't own it. Um, Definitely enjoyed it this time around. I thought a lot playing through it about how this generation uh, made a pretty big effort to connect to the anime. Because
Hmm.
like they have like the stills and the cutscenes in Pokemon Puzzle League that are from the anime. There's not much story to it. It's a puzzle game. But like we had games like Hey You Pikachu as well that connected to the anime. Pokemon Yellow, I guess you could connect to the anime. I would. It's inspired by it.
Oh,
But we
for
don't
sure. Yeah.
really have it now outside of like a really bad Detective Pikachu game, which was also a movie. So that was my
Yeah.
that was my observation with it. that it was something that I really enjoyed about this game. Number 48 on my list.
So I separated them a little bit. I put Pokemon Puzzle League at number 31, which is right below the Zelda Oracle games. Um, and then comes Mario Golf, and then comes Pon de Pan. I mean, it's hurt a lot by not being in English. I think if I didn't have Puzzle League to kind of walk me through it, I wish Tetris Attack was on there.
Yeah.
Tetris Attack, I would have ranked a little higher. So, just because it's cool seeing the Super Mario World 2 characters and stuff like that. But as it stands, that's about where they're at, which is, not too shabby. They're in the top third of my list, top 33% there. Um,
I
yeah,
put
I really like this puzzle game. As far as puzzle games on the service go, this is one of the better ones. I didn't like Mean Bean Machine too much. Like that's really low on my list. This is better.
Yeah, I put Pedal the Pond on at 66 on my list. Tetris Attack, I think, is a better experience, just in all ways, characters, setting, translation. There is an unofficial English ROM for Panel the Pond that was released in 2007. Uh,
Okay.
which I bring up every time we play a translated game or a Japanese game, and there wasn't much else to say. The main villain in Panel the Pond is named Thanatos, which I think is very very close to Thanos.
It is, yeah.
You know, or it's either Thanatos or Sanatos, but I'm going with Thanatos. So that's number
Santa
66.
Claus.
That's number 66 on my list. Tetris Attack would probably go above Pokemon Puzzle League because I do think while Pokemon Puzzle League is fun, they could have added some kind of collecting or catching mechanic onto the game.
Yeah, or
Yeah, come on.
what my thought was they could have made you select Pokemon beforehand, and all it really affects is the sound effects.
Right.
They could have made the Pokemon you select give you some sort of abilities, like maybe if you line up the symbols that match their type, like if it's a fire Pokemon and you line up 3 fires, it sends even more to your opponent or something. Something that made the Pokemon relevant.
Exactly. Exactly. That sounds awesome. Like I think having abilities, having something that you can collect. Because I think like in like Pokemon Pinball, you could collect Pokemon. So why not? Like win a
Yeah.
game, get a Pokemon. Win a game, get an egg. Hatch the egg, maybe get a shiny.
Mm.
Play again, try to get a shiny. Like
I don't think
um
they had Shiny yet, did they? When did Shiny start?
Gen 2.
Yeah, was Gen 2 out yet? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know. But I think they had shiny Pokemon in Pokemon Pinball. Or they had it in
Oh,
Pokemon
okay.
Pinball 2. I can't
Hey, you
remember.
know Pokemon more than I do. I'm just going off of the playthrough I'm doing right
I might
now,
be
and
wrong. I might be wrong.
I know in Yellow, I just know in Yellow they did not have them.
I might be wrong. It might have been Gen 1 and it's just like super difficult to get. Um,
No, no, no. I can tell you they're not because I used guides and stuff, and there was not a single mention so far of shiny Pokemon up to Yellow.
okay, okay. Then it was then it was a classic playground rumor, like how like oh like Meryl is actually in Pokemon Red and Blue and it's not. Uh,
Well, maybe I mean I could see it getting confusing since you could trade Gen 1 and Gen 2. So shinies may have been traded, things like that. Anyway, let's find out what we're playing next time.
okay.
All right, we're going to fire up that Nintendo 64 for our first game of 2025, and we are playing 1080 Snowboarding. I didn't pair this with anything in the list yet, so it's just going to be that game.
Yeah.
And yeah, and there's not really anything to pair it with. So
If
uh,
only we had snowboard kids. Oh man.
yeah, I
Oh
would
man.
have if snow is. It's not on there, is it?
Oh man. I'd be playing it right now if we did.
Yeah, okay. I didn't think so. Yeah, there were no other snowboarding games on there, believe it or not. So, yeah, we're going to be playing 1080 snowboarding next week and probably talking a lot about how it compares to Tony Hawk Pro Skater because that's what all of my thoughts on it are.
Well,
you
and also I bring up snowboard kids, but this is in an era where snowboarding was huge. Like Final Fantasy,
Yeah.
right? Did Final Fantasy
Yeah,
have it?
I will definitely be bringing up the Final Fantasy VII pointless snowboarding game as well.
We'll have to save it. We'll save it.
Yeah. Okay, so as usual, we are Nintendo fans, not Nintendo experts. So if you want to get a hold of us and tell us we were wrong about something, please do. We are on Blue Sky and we are on Reddit, and where so far those are the main places. I got a TikTok that I randomly update for the show. It's usually just me posting an image of something I'm playing or a video of something I'm playing and commenting on it. So if you want to see that, we're on TikTok at Nintendo Therapy as well. Uh, and join us next week to hear us talk about 1080 snowboarding. And if you have thoughts on 1080 snowboarding, send them to us at those places and we'll talk about them. We'll read your thoughts. So, I mean, we won't read your thoughts. We're not psychic, but we'll read what you send to us. Uh, Great outro, Kevin. See you all next week.